Okay, a movie review. I have not done this in a long time. In a long, long time. I can't remember what the last one was, but it was before my long ass break, which was like a month and a half, almost 2 months. So it's been a long time, and that right there, that break was like 3 months ago. So I haven't done a movie. I can't speak. A movie review in a long time. The title of this is probably not a review, and that's because I'm gonna be honest. When I was doing these, and I did it for a few things. I did it for Marvel movies. I did it for Sonic. I don't think I did an anime one. I don't think I did because it wasn't one that came out. This one is for an anime one. When I was doing those, I didn't like the fact I called them reviews. I did kind of like a rating for it. The only thing I liked was that I split non-spoiler and spoiler stuff because I like doing both, and then I'll do that for this, but I just didn't like the idea of calling them reviews. More like first impressions, I think was the better idea of like naming scheme. I think for some movies it's tough. For some movies you don't always go into a movie thinking I'm gonna review this and being like, oh, I'm gonna like give a scaling of what it, because it's hard to be consistent. Oh, I did one for Batman. Now Batman was that one. I was like, I really want to go in depth. A movie like this, is there really, guys, is there really a point? Like, if you clicked on this, is there really a point for me to be like, I'm going to review this movie? I think the only way I could really explain how I feel about this movie in terms of a ranking would be how I compare it to the other One Piece movies I've watched. If you don't know by the title and thumbnail, this is a review. Probably I put impressions, first impressions, thoughts, right? Your thoughts on the movie. As a One Piece fan, I do One Piece content on this channel sometimes. I do it enough where it counts, but I only do it sometimes because right now it's just reactions to episodes. When I get my computer stuff and everything set up properly, I'll be able to put out content better, and I'll be able to actually like do One Piece related videos that aren't just me reacting to One Piece episodes. But the reason why I don't do an episode reaction to every episode is because One Piece is a long series, and I've known it, I've watched it and experienced it for like 20, not 20 years. I've been alive for 20 years. I've experienced it for about like 17, 16 of those years, and I know that it's a long, it's not one of those series that you want to do episode by episode by episode. I know there's reactors that do that. I'm not just a reaction channel, although it is just reactions right now, but and even if I was, if that was the game plan, I don't want to do episode to episode. Like, respect to those channels, but it's not my thing. Anyways, you guys already know that stuff. I'm going to split this non-spoiler to spoiler. Non-spoiler, I'll probably spend like, I want this to be overall like 20 minutes, but the non-spoiler part, I'll probably spend like, it's supposed to be like 10 minutes, but this will probably be like 25 minutes. Anyways, let's just jump right into it. So non-spoiler, basically, I'm not going to go into any details on things. You guys already know I did a trailer reaction. Go watch it if you haven't. On the characters, we got Uta, who is Shanks' daughter, and we have Shanks. Big surprises in the movie. The red hair pirates are in the movie. I know there was other trailers that showed that. I didn't react to those. And then the Kobe, the government, and like the admirals, and obviously the Straw Hats. You know, I'll mention them briefly, but like, to be honest, guys, I'm probably gonna go into like the plot and like not what happens, but how it was delivered and stuff, and things I kind of liked without being too specific. So pacing wise, just to go in, I think the beginning's kind of hard. I'm gonna be honest, the beginning's a little tough because I watched this with my friends. Some of them had seen it, some of them haven't. Some of them had only watched the anime, some of them had only read the manga, which was really, really cool to see like how they all felt about it. And I was beside someone who had never seen any of it, and I was beside someone who I think saw only the anime, maybe the manga. Actually, no, he's probably, yeah, he saw a little bit of the manga. I heard people say they were complaining that it was too many songs, even though Uta's whole thing is that she's a singer. At the beginning, I was thinking, wow, they're right. once you get past the middle, then the songs slow down, like to the level where they should have been. I appreciate the musical stuff. Musicals aren't really my thing, to be honest, but I'm completely open to them. It's just not my thing. It's not my preference. But I did think there was a lot of songs, guys. Like, for my leeway, I was like, the beginning has way too many songs. Like, whoa, we gotta slow down. And a lot of them I've heard because I played Treasure Cruise on my phone. So the songs are played there. They're good songs. It's just, like I said, they're so congested in the beginning. No need for that. And in terms of plot progression, it kind of made it a little sluggish. It's kind of confusing why some characters are there and some aren't. The explanation for that isn't really touched on, like why the characters we start, or like, we know but we don't. Also, I'll be honest, the exposition is like, it goes into Uta, like why she is who she is and yada yada yada, but it really doesn't explain a whole lot. It just jumps you into the movie, which I had my buddy who didn't watch any of it kind of asking a few questions where I was like, I'm surprised you're not asking more questions, to be honest, because they really didn't explain a whole lot. Not like explain the whole plot of One Piece and who's who, like not that, but like what's going on. As in there's not a whole lot of build up as to like, why are these people there and why are these people? It's like, I honestly not sure. I'm not sure why these people are there specifically. I mean, like Kobe and that group, it makes sense. They're doing spying and stuff, but they just jump right into it. Like there's no build up or anything. It's just kind of like, okay, here we are. And then when you get into it later, the plot point, like the actual mechanism as like the villain, when they go into the villain and like what the villain's powers are, it kind of makes more sense as to why you're kind of a little confused at the beginning, but also not, because I think it's kind of, I don't know, man. I don't know how to put it. Like it's still paced in a weird way where I'd say it's not the most, the when you get past the middle part, sorry to stutter, but like when you get past the middle part, it's yeah, man, it gets better. It gets much better, but only because I think there's just some stalling done in parts where I'm like, do we need to stall here? And then there's so much context given by the end of the movie that you're kind of like, I feel like we needed this explanation maybe a little earlier, which, not saying the movie's bad. It's not a bad movie. I enjoyed the movie. I liked it. But that's mostly due to the fact that a lot of the stuff I was waiting for, like the Shanks stuff, and not like, oh, Shanks showing up. Like, yeah, sure, I knew he was going to show up right at the beginning. But, and that's not a spoiler. If you're going to watch the movie, you're going to see Shanks at some point, and you just, the matters when you see it, not totally significant. You see enough of Shanks in the movie, but I think it's not really about him. It's just about, like, there's a lot of flashbacks. There's flashbacks in the beginning, but there's also more flashbacks in the ending that, like, you're thinking you could probably put some of these in different parts, maybe like closer to the middle. I don't know. There's just a lot happening at the end that I'm like, this is all fine. It's done well enough, but I'm like, it's a little like you could have spread it out more, but it's all cool. I will say one thing: the Straw Hats don't do a lot. The Straw Hats don't do a lot at all. Not a spoiler. Again, I think that's just fair to say. They don't do a whole lot, man. They don't do a whole lot. And I think that's I'm not gonna go too into it, but the red hair pirates, they do alright. But the Straw Hats, man, they don't do diddly do nothing. They don't do a whole lot. I mean, they do some stuff, but I think the climax, obviously they do their thing. There's this whole side thing they're doing that's kind of cool, but it's really, this movie is really just a Luffy, Uta, and Shanks movie, which is good. I think that's actually the most important part, is that we wanted context on that relationship, because I think it makes Shanks and Luffy closer together, and also explains the relevance of Uta to both of them, which I think, as much as Uta is Shanks' daughter, Uta is also Luffy's childhood friend. Like, they're like just as close almost, which is really weird, but also kind of cool. I was expecting, I'm happy they didn't go this route, because he does have brothers. I was like, are they gonna go that route? Are they gonna go like, oh, it's like his sister? But no, they didn't. It's more just, yeah, it's his friend. There was an interesting amount of chemistry by the end of it, where I was interested as to how Luffy felt about Uta, but yeah, it's more of just I thought maybe they were going to go the sibling route or a different route, but yeah, it was just his friend, but it wasn't like a Nakama. It was just it was kind of a relationship that I don't know, it was just rare because I think it made me realize like we don't have that with Luffy, like he has his brothers and then he has his crew. Very rarely do we have a friend from his childhood, so whether Uta is actually canon or not, I didn't really consider it too much because I didn't take it too seriously. It was just the importance that Uta exists the way she does in Luffy. Like, there's a relationship there that we get to see. I think it was really cool. But yeah, I think, like I said, the Straw Hats did not have a lot to do. So, I mean, Luffy, yes. Shanks, more or less, yeah. In terms of Shanks, like going into him, like his mindset, I'm gonna leave Luffy alone for this non-spoiler part because I think that's as much as I can go into without explaining too much. Because yeah, the relationship is really cool, but I think it's really brought out by the end of it. I think in the beginning, Luffy's just kind of like, "Oh, cool." He's not too like he doesn't take things too seriously. Actually, he really doesn't take things too seriously until in the middle where like Uta like things get really heated and then he decides to be like, okay, I'm gonna take it seriously. But at the beginning he's actually really surprisingly nonchalant. But Shanks, on the other hand, there is not a whole lot of context into how Shanks feels about Uta necessarily. Like, he treats her like his daughter, but I think Uta's really uses a good device to explain Shanks, like his own relationships, like how he is as a person. I will be honest, it's not really a spoiler. There's not too many surprises. Like, I think Shanks is still what we kind of expected from him. Just some context, if anything, which is still useful. I think if you want to learn something about Shanks, you go into this movie 100% and you learn something about him afterwards. But yeah, nothing too surprising. There was a small surprising moment, but after you've seen the movie, you can watch the spoiler part where I talk about it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it was pretty good. His his involvement in terms of with his crew is pretty normal, actually. It feels like a normal, like, not like they're minions and not like there's some shady stuff. They're just a normal pirate crew, kind of like Law and his crew. It's the same idea. Like, nothing's too chummy like Luffy and the Straw Hats. Like, they all have, obviously we watch the whole show with them, so I mean, like, we carry on with them, so we're a lot more attached and they all seem like more close together, but like more tightly knit. But the Red Hair Pirates, they're a pretty normal crew in One Piece standards. And yeah, it's cool. Like, you get to see some of them do their stuff and learn some kind of their abilities, maybe what they can do, but nothing too spicy. Just enough. They played it safe, which is good. I was very happy about that because I was like, I don't want them to show too much in this movie. I feel like it's a little wrong, because you stole that from the show, So they did enough where I was like, I'm happy with that. But yeah, in terms of Shanks himself, the man himself, the little, like, the main part of the movie, Uta is she is very affected by Shanks. A little affected by Luffy, not really. They're just having back and forth of, like, that relationship of being very close friends for one another, but nothing serious. It's more about, like, Shanks's, impact on Uta because he is her father. So, but it's yeah, again, no surprises. But I think going off that, I'd say if I had to rank this with the other movies, without giving it a rating, I'd probably put it lower than Stampede. I really liked Stampede, dude. I really liked Stampede. Even though Shanks wasn't in that, and I probably learned something more important from that, I think overall, Stampede was a better One Piece movie for me. But I think Stampede it's interesting. Would I put it above Film Z? It's on par. I think it's on par with Film Z for me. I think it's on par for Film Z because I think Film Z was able to give options for the other characters to do things. Well, this movie, I feel like, had 3 main cast members and the rest they just put them around places. So it's a decent movie. It's a completely decent One Piece movie. I think what you go into this movie wanting, you get. So I think that's good. And there's a story there, like I said, the beginning, but I think for a movie itself, it's not perfect, it's not great, but it's good. It's good. It's good. And for a One Piece movie, especially film Red, good job. It's a good job. So yeah, I mean, I made this longer than I should have, but that's the non-spoiler part, and the spoiler part will hopefully be shorter. So I'm gonna start talking about the spoilers. If you haven't watched the movie, please leave. But if you have, you can stick around, and we're gonna start. I will preface though, in the comments, you can comment on anything you want to non-spoilery people, if you haven't already left, and to the spoilery people, if you're gonna comment something down, don't spoil, please. I know me saying that can only do so much, but please don't spoil. It just makes it easier for everyone to say a little something. But I can't control you, so. But do me a solid and don't do that. Anyways, we're gonna get into spoilers. Okay, I'm not gonna talk on the pacing. I already explained it. There's too many songs, dude. At the beginning, there's too many songs. I don't know why the Big Mom Pirates were there. I'm not complaining they were there. I'm happy they were there, especially with Brule. It made sense. Like, it was a good plot device to save everybody. It just was random, dude. I'm like, okay, you're there. I understand because Uta's like this big danger, but it's just so strange. I was like, okay, well, and then Katakuri wasn't there, but then he decides to be there. It's really random. It's really random. And then the switch, there was some moments. I'm gonna be honest. There's some moments that were really like kind of one off. Like, I feel like Uta during that whole concert at the beginning, that didn't need to happen for as long as it did. I think the random ass race they did with each other was just an excuse to be like, this is them being friends, and I get it, but it was so random. It's so random. She's singing in the midway, being like, hey, you're Luffy's friends. By the way, is Shanks here? And then being like, no, hey, let's have a race. I'm like, the fuck? And like, language, I'm so sorry. But it was random. It was really random. I'm like, what the hell? Like, okay, sure. And then she went back and she goes back to singing. It takes a while before she actually gets crazy. And then you realize, oh, she's the villain. She kind of makes it a little obvious when she says like, we're gonna have a party forever, and you're like, oh, like that kind of forever, like the crazy clingy girlfriend forever, which I was getting that energy when she was talking to Luffy a little bit. I was like, it's really funny when Luffy, like, she's like, you're still a pirate, you shouldn't be a pirate. He just leaves. Luffy was very like, oh man, when he said he forgot that, like, so when you get the flashback and they're all sleeping, Luffy said he forgot that was her ability. It was, I'll be honest, even from Luffy's standards, I was like, this is a little much. Like, this is a little much. I'm sure you should, at this point, you should have said something. But I get it. It's completely Luffy. But it felt a little much. I was like, we're stretching it here, but sure. The plot device. I should have said this in the non-spoiler part, but it's fine. I already talked too much in there. The plot device to have the dreams and stuff so Shanks and Luffy don't actually see each other but can be in the same movie together was okay, but I think we took some hoops and hurdles to figure it out, and it kind of made me wonder, why were the red-haired pirates at the end? They seem to have a trend where they like to show up when the party's about to finish. And I think at this moment it seemed a little odd, because if the Big Mom Pirates got, ahead of the game, then why are the red-haired pirates, late to the party? It's his daughter, which actually it's the crew's daughter, because Beckman, he said that, like, it's our daughter, so she is our daughter. But yeah, the backstory stuff when she is like, oh, Shanks abandoned me, and then she's like, actually, I knew he didn't really abandon me. He wasn't the one that destroyed the town. It was me. Yada yada yada. That stuff was a little convoluted. It didn't need to go back and forth. I just think it could have done that, but maybe not do it all in like half an hour. You know what I mean? It just seems a little much. and I mentioned this, the Straw Hats didn't do a lot. They got the song and tried to figure out what was happening. The plot point itself is not the most original. Oh, we gotta hit it in unison, and I'm like, well, I wonder who are gonna make the final moves. It's probably gonna be Shanks, and it's probably gonna be Luffy, and big surprise, it ended up being it. The Demon King stuff was interesting. I got really sad when I knew that. I was like, okay, well, OT's gonna die. Like, OT's gonna die. Like, when she was on the shrooms to keep herself awake, it got very dark very quick. And I did like the shift. I really like that. Now, that is something we can really talk about. In terms of a villain, Uta is the best. She is the best. She is the best villain in One Piece movies. That is 100% certain. I'm just really sad I couldn't say that in a non-spoiler review part, because that's the big plot twist, is she's the villain. So yeah, it really sucks. It really sucks, because I wish I could say that. But point being, I think she's easily the best villain. Bullet wasn't great. Z was good. Zed was good. And then Shiki is obviously sick, but the thing is, it's kind of taken away from the fact that it's not canon, so potato. I don't know. I think the significance of Uta and like the stuff, even though the reason she gets to the point she is too convoluted for me, because it's too back and forth. I feel like they were trying to come up with something, and then I don't know. I think it explains. It's so natural compared to like how it feels when trying to learn something about Shanks. You know what I mean? Like, it's just too convoluted for the sake. I'm like, he's with the Gorosei. Is he bad? It's like, oh, he stopped the Marines in like the Marine Ford War. Is he that strong? It's just like there's a lot of things where it makes me just as confused as I am about Shanks's true motives and stuff. Which we learned that Shanks was adopted by Roger, but probably at the same age he was adopted. Like Uta was, I'm so sorry, I keep going back and forth. Uta was adopted by Shanks, because he had that flashback when he looked at her and was like, maybe there's a good reason for this, So that was very good. There is a special thing that happens during their final attack with Luffy. I'm not going to go into that, because I just think that's a special something. If you read the manga and you watch the movie, there was a special something, and I stood up like a madman. All me and all my friends, just we got up immediately, like, holy shit. We were in these recliners and everything when we were watching it, and it was nuts. I dropped something. I still don't know what it was. I think it was a bunch of candy or whatever, but it was great. It was a great moment. But again, Straw Hats didn't do a lot. It was just a whole lot of like back and forth. Usopp had that really cool moment with Yasob, father son. I really liked that, though. I really liked that. That dynamic was actually really smart, and I think that made it worth it. And Usopp and Yasob are actually the MVPs of the movie, which is really, really cool. I like that a lot, actually. But everyone else didn't have a whole lot. It was just kind of like they're doing the teamwork move, and they win. And we didn't really get to see them fight the admirals too much. It was just kind of like the admirals were there. Fujitora did a whole lot more in the last movie. Kizaru has done a whole lot more in the Zed movie, so it makes me kind of fun. It's really ironic that when a Yonko is actually there, we don't see them square up that much. I mean, maybe it makes sense, right? Like, what do you expect? But yeah. And then the ending, I think it was really sweet when she gave the hat back to Luffy, and it was very interesting. I noticed this with my buddies too. There's a post-credit scene where Luffy says, "I'm going to be king of the pirates," and then I said it, and I didn't even realize it. I just said it, right? And I didn't realize it. I heard what I said, and I realized it makes me look at the movie in a whole different way. He never says, "I'm going to be king of the pirates," in the whole movie until the very end in the post-credit scenes. And I think that was so important, because Uta the entire time is like, don't be a pirate. Don't yada, yada, yada. Actually, I think he does say it. No, I think he doesn't say it. She says it. She says, don't be king of the pirates. And he says, I'm going to do it so I can change the era, or make a new era. And then she gets pissed. So he never utters the words himself. until the very end in the post-credit scene. And it was important to me because I think when she gave the hat to him, she said, "You're going to be a great man or something and do a great thing and be king of the pirate." I don't remember the exact subtitle, but it was a very sweet moment. And I was really sad because I actually, I'll be honest, I hadn't seen Luffy like that with someone he cared about dying, because we saw that with Ace. He took that differently because that's his brother. And that's why I was like, they're not siblings, because the way he reacted when she died is different than how Ace died. Ace is his brother. She is a friend. There's a difference, which I'm really happy there is a difference in reaction. But it's very interesting and fascinating to look in Luffy's character and see the way he handled her loss, you know? Because Luffy is not just a child. Yes, him losing his brother, he lost all reality, but it's not like he didn't understand people die. He knew people die, but it's the fact he lost Ace, right? And that doesn't make Uta any like not special to him. She was very special, but it's just that reality he came to, knowing that I can't save you, you know? You're gonna die, which it was a deep moment. It was really deep to see at the end where he's just sitting there with her and he doesn't have anything to say, you know? He's just kind of, you know, taking it like you would expect as like as a guy who may be young, but Luffy is very like set in reality, even though he dreams big, but he's set in reality and understanding like there's just, you know, this I can't be yelling and screaming or crying at the top of my lungs. So I thought it was just very interesting. It was very interesting and cool, very mature of Luffy. On the other hand, her father, it was very interesting. With Shanks, I know I'm saying interesting a lot, but with Shanks it was cool. It was cool to see. At the beginning it was really funny when he was getting beat up and he just was smiling at her, because at this point we didn't realize that he didn't actually leave her on purpose. He did, but it wasn't, you know, we didn't understand the full context. So I was like, it's really weird that he's acting like this, but I guess it's his daughter, right? But I knew in my head, I was like, they try to spin it, making like Shanks is a villain, but he's not. He's a good guy. Which this movie I think proves it more than anything, that Shanks is a good person. Shanks is 100% a good person. I used to think, like, before this movie started, like, oh, he's gonna be secretly a really cynical person. He's not. He's not really. Like, maybe he is, though, but he's not. Like, he is very supportive and everything we expected Shanks to be, which I was like, that's sweet. I actually really like that. I really like that, even though it's, you know, some people like the mystery of Shanks. I think knowing that he is a good person without showing too much of, like, his history is good. It's good. I'll take it. And maybe there is some stuff to him that can make him a little jaded, I'm sure. But in terms of how he treated Uta, he just wanted the best for her. And he was going to take her back on the ship. It's just something happened that night. They had their own movie, you know, where they faced her, and he realized, like, you know, she has a potential to be something better, and he didn't know she was going to turn into that situation. And I'm 100%, if he had known, he would have just been like, okay, well, no, I'm not going to put my daughter through that. But it was very sad, and I was very happy because I wasn't sure what was going to happen with her body. I was very happy that they took, the red-haired pirates took care of her, you know, like, I'm assuming they took her body. And it's interesting that Luffy woke up on the Sunny, like he woke up on his ship, and then he didn't get a chance to really say anything to Shanks. I knew he wasn't going to. When he was looking out at the ship, he could just see they're like probably looking at Uta and like her passing. So he, like, I think Luffy understood more that like Uta is a really important friend to him, but it's Shanks' daughter, and that's their thing. That's not his thing. So it was cool. It was a sweet ending. But like I said, the reason I really, like, it hit me, the post-credit scene, was like, that's like, that hits harder, knowing that Uta was like, you know what, don't be a pirate, I hate pirates, yada yada yada. And then at the very end, like, believing in Luffy giving back the straw hat, because she never said like be king of the pirates, she just gave the straw hat back to him, which that is the promise to be a great pirate, you know, and to be king of the pirates. So it hit me. I was like, damn, that was good. But again, like I said, that's all at the ending. The beginning, it's just songs, dude, for like 15-20 minutes straight. It's just songs. I was like, I get it, she sings. It was nuts. Katakuri was really funny. Katakuri, I'll just say this one last thing. Katakuri had this moment where he was using observation haki, which is really cool. He wasn't seeing the future. He was seeing another reality, which was really cool that they could do that. But Shanks was like, he was so Katakuri is explaining it, and Shanks was like, I know, like I have observation haki too, and that's how Usopp and Yasopp were able to connect together, is that they have observation haki, which is very cool that Usopp is his observation haki is at that level, which I loved. I loved that. And then the last thing I'll say is, I mentioned with Shanks's like possibly being the adopted son, the same way he is like adopting Uta, being the adopted son of Roger. I think that'd be very, very interesting if that was the case. Like, did Roger ever consider him as like a son? And would that also apply to Buggy? And like, you know how Beckman says this is our daughter, would like Riley have said that about Shanks, and like these are our sons when it comes to Rayleigh and Buggy? I just think it's very interesting to think of it like that. Well, there's that, but then also on Uta's side, her devil fruit's really interesting. It makes me wonder, is her devil fruit, the Sing Sing fruit, obviously is not canon, but if it were, is it one of the gods? Because the way the Demon King and everything was playing out, it made me think, this devil fruit, this is part of its power. Like, the only thing that can attach to the Demon King is the Sing Sing fruit. Like, a Sing Sing fruit user, they have the potential to get corrupted by the Demon King. So I was like, this whole thing seems so convoluted. So it made me think, is she actually, like, is she a god of the One Piece realm? Like, I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but there are devil fruits that are based off gods. So I was like, is this one of them? I don't know. It's just a little thing I wanted to shoot in there. I know it's at the very end. The reason I put it at the very end is because it really doesn't mean much. Like I said, it's not canon. If it is, you know, we've had some crazy devil fruits before, like the Luck fruit and stuff that don't really make sense, because like, the more you think about it, the more frustrating it ends up becoming. Like, if this is real, then it's like, it's not. Don't worry about it. So I don't know. I just wanted to mention it because it's an interesting tie to Luffy maybe discovering more things about, you know, stuff and everything. So I thought there might be an interesting correlation with Shanks and stuff, but I know that part is pretty spoilery. I just wanted to say it to like be more on the nose. Sometimes I don't like it when I'm being like not specific enough, but yeah, I just think it's an interesting coincidence with Shanks and devil fruits that have god related. I know it's not a god, the Demon King wasn't a god, but it's like, it's basically like the same kind of level of craziness, right? Like this crazy power, like the Gorosei being like, this power is so dangerous, it can do crazy things. I'm like, this sounds like another situation that happens in the manga. And I was like, it involves Shanks again. So is that a coincidence? Does Shanks know a lot more about devil fruits than maybe even Blackbeard? Does he know which devil fruits are the most important? I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of context clues. I try to look for context clues in terms of Shanks and what it could be saying, like in parallel. And I think some of these parallels from Uta could be applied to Luffy and to himself. Like I said, with the Roger adopted son, adopted daughter relationship there, you know. So I was like, I tried flipping it the other way around. I was like, so what can I get from Luffy and Shanks? I'm like, there might be some stuff there with the devil fruit thing if you correlate it to, but anyways, I think I've talked way too much there, and it's already gone over half an hour. But yeah, I just like these kinds of videos. Excuse me, but I'll probably do more of them. I'll probably do more of them in the future. Reviews, other things. I'm just trying to chill out, and when the moment comes, I'll bring stuff back like I did before. Yeah, I won't. It won't always be superhero movies like it was before. I've grown tired of them a little bit, I'll be honest. So whenever I have a movie that I've watched, I want to talk about it, I'll post it. So yeah, I did do a trailer reaction to this one, so I was like, and I saw the movie. So I don't know when this will come out. Probably the day after I saw it, or the weekend after. In which case that'll be a long time. Probably not that long. But yeah, I like the movie. If you did, put it down in the comments what you thought. You know, like, what did you like about it? Again, don't go too specific, but if you want to, go ahead, I guess. I can't control you. But if you guys did enjoy me explaining my thoughts and process, I know I could have gone even deeper with the lore, but I'd be here forever. And I don't think you guys want me to talk that long. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this kind of concept, even if you're not just, you know, strictly here for One Piece, if you enjoy me doing these kinds of things with movies and stuff and just talking about my thoughts, hit the like button, smash the sub button, give that about your best, you know, all that stuff and how it goes. And yada yada yada. But I don't know, man. It's crazy. I'm gonna go back into the manga and kind of be like taking this in slowly, but I it makes me curious where you go from here from like the next movie, because this movie kind of came sooner than I expected. So I don't know. Maybe the next movie will go even further, but I don't know how far you're really gonna go because we're in some final saga stuff. But anyways, I'm not gonna. Bro, I want to talk. I want to talk so much, but I can't. I shouldn't. I gotta leave. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'll catch you guys later. Take care, peace, and goodbye.